From Studio 1A in Tampa, Florida, comes a talk show that really feels your pain and tells you like it is. We love America and all that freedom-loving Americans want to protect. Live from coast to coast and on your radio, it's For the People with Keith Allen.
We'll help you survive this thing called life. We're for the people. Whatever your source of stress or strife, for the people is there.
Hello, Mr. and Mrs. America. I am Keith Allen and proudly welcoming you into this middle of the week Wednesday, September the 20th, 2017, and Maria. I got to tell you, she's a fierce storm, and we've been hearing about these killer storms, and that's exactly what they are. They are killing people. We have got earthquakes, we got hurricanes and tropical storms, and this one hitting Puerto Rico, and it is a beautiful place, and I have family that actually lives in Puerto Rico. My wife is actually from Puerto Rico. And so my extended family, if you will, lives there, and they're all safe. If you know anything about houses over there in Puerto Rico, a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them are concrete. They're block, cement roofs, and that's where my family is, bunkered inside of their homes. And this is kind of like, they practice this. This is something that the islanders that live there, they know this stuff's going to happen, but not to this degree. When you get 200-mile-per-hour winds, and that's what was being clocked, I mean, could you imagine? I mean, we dodged a huge bullet. We thought that 60, 75-mile-per-hour winds here in Tampa was a big deal. That's why we had millions of people without power over here. But could you imagine 200 miles an hour? The governor told people if you didn't evacuate, if you didn't get into a safe place, you were going to be dead. I mean, that's pretty much what our governor was saying, Rick Scott, if you weren't getting out of the Keys. But it's going to be a war zone. That's what it's going to look like in a lot of places there in Puerto Rico, unfortunately. And already the economy is not doing so well over there. They're trying to restructure things and get things on better footing over there, but it roared in to the island of Puerto Rico this morning at about 6:15, 6:20 local time as a Category 4 storm, but with Category 5 winds up to 200 miles an hour. You ever go down the road in your car and you have the window down? I wouldn't recommend doing this. Bikers would understand this. But if you're doing 50 miles an hour, 75 miles per hour, that's a lot of wind. But 200 miles an hour, forget about it. Roofs are coming off. Structures are being damaged. Parts of buildings are flying around right now. That kind of stuff, nobody can be out in this right now. But a big storm, we're watching it. The flood surge, we're understanding over 10 feet. That's a lot of water, ladies and gentlemen. Already dealing with the aftermath of Irma. So many of the islands, like Barbuda, the Virgin Islands, U.S. and British territory, already just devastated. And now this other one came in, Maria, with vengeance. It almost seems like apocalypse. And I know there's this David Meade guy that's claiming that this weekend, this Saturday, as a matter of fact, it's going to be the end of the world. It's all over the social media. It's getting a lot of airplay. It's, it's one of those things where it just kind of makes you wonder. I don't believe it's the end of the world. But it's amazing how fragile life is. I mean, we are, a heartbeat away, literally that close. And the dangers. Like, look at Mexico City. Very weird occurrence there. As you know, it was a 7.1 earthquake in Mexico City. And if you've ever been to Mexico City, it's absolutely beautiful. Seriously, it's a gorgeous city, and it's actually clean. It's like a clean New York. Seriously, it's up in the mountains. The air it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's a very cultural, international city, very busy city. But a lot of folks were at church yesterday commemorating the 1985 earthquake that killed thousands of people. And on the anniversary date, here comes the 7.1 earthquake. Unbelievably devastating. But it kind of makes you wonder. It's kind of like stuff that you read in the book of Revelation. If you read that, that's a tough book, man. You practically got to find a theologian to, decipher some of the imagery. And some of the imagery seems to be a little worse than what we're seeing here. But, it talks about the end of days where young men's hearts will fail them and things like that. It's, but if you're scared of something, about things falling on you or storms coming in on you, I mean, that's a lot of stress to take in. I'm an active guy. I cycle and I try to eat right and things like that. But, man, I was stressed out with these storms and just seeing them. And then when you have family that's in the wake of these things and you don't have any control over the storms, and that's just it. We don't have any control over what Mother Nature does, but we can prepare for it. I hope to God people have made the necessary preparations like so many here in Florida did when the governor said, evacuate, be in a safe place that can withstand a Category 5 or you're going to be dead. Now, there's a lot of shoddy construction, unfortunately, in Puerto Rico. There's a lot of well-made homes, and then just like most, a lot of places in the United States here, some are excellent, some are just not. And I hope those people that know that those homes wouldn't withstand it, they got out with their kids, and they're safe. But we're praying, obviously, for the folks there in Puerto Rico, and it's just one of these things where you don't have the control that you want over this. And I know a lot of you are worried about it. And the East Coast right now is actually looking at Maria. They're saying it's taking a similar course as Jose, which means that the East Coast might be more affected from this, possibly, but it has to make that turn just like Irma had to make that turn, and then meteorologists will be able to kind of look at it. And pretty much, I almost feel like I'm a quasi-meteorologist here, but, living in Florida all these years and dealing with Charlie, and then in 2004 with the back-to-back hurricanes, I'm kind of like plugged in looking at these spaghetti models and seeing, what do you like, the European model? I mean, there's a website somebody was telling me about the other day. I think it's called spaghettymodel.com. You can kind of pick your spaghetti model. There's bets going. There's some people betting on exactly where it's going to go. But there's always this general consensus as to where it is going to go, when it's going to do this, and when it's going to do that. It's very fascinating. But as much as it's fascinating, it's very unnerving. Seriously, especially if you live along the coast, and millions of people do, because it's absolutely beautiful to live near the water, and people will continue doing it storm after storm. And look at Louisiana. People said, "Oh, they're never going to rebuild that." It's they're not going to do that, and they did. Texas is going to rebuild, and they're doing that. They're just trying to drain themselves out, still flooding there. I have some folks living in the Houston area, and there's still people that, can you believe it, this many weeks later, still cannot even return to their homes. And if they did, there's not a whole lot there. A lot of mold, and all the stuff actually has to be gutted out. I tell you, it helps to have friends during times like this, because I would not know what to do personally if, I lost everything. There are people that have lost everything, and they don't have anybody. Luckily, there's Good Samaritans. There's good organizations that do help people. But with the amount of people, there's going to be folks that are just going to be, left behind. FEMA can't make people absolutely whole. And even if you get the money, does it really make you whole? Think about that. If you're not complete now, and if you don't feel complete now, money, all that stuff, it doesn't matter. And it makes me think about some of the most important things in life, and it comes down to friendships. It comes down to the relationships that you have. And I don't know who said this, but one smart man that probably lived a long time ago, but he said at the end of your life, if you actually had one good person in your life that you could call a friend, you've done well. So if you can achieve that, and I'm luckily right now, I am holding at more than just one. And I appreciate it. If you're listening to the show, then you're a friend. You may not personally know me, because we don't hang out and go to Five Guys or hop on the back of a Harley, because we're going to visit Neenah Cycles. We're going to find out what's going on with Kay Reitz and the whole gang there in Neenah, Wisconsin. I've spent some time up there. That's a place where I like to hang out. Seriously, I could live there. I could breathe there. The only problem is there's a little corruption in the police department up there. Yeah, we're trying to fix that, and Kay's going to tell us how we can do that when we join her in a little bit. And she's got a great movement, and that's what it is, an organization made up with people to help folks that have been affected by police brutality. Yeah, you've heard of it, and it does happen, and it's the bad apples, and we're trying to root them out, but unfortunately people have lost loved ones because of this, and Michael Funk is one guy that I've been in his corner. Even after his death, we're fighting for what happened to him. He was shot unlawfully, called 911, wanted to be rescued, and he got shot instead. That was his reward for trying to get into safety, into a place that would be better than being off in Michael Flatoff's firing aim, but shot the wrong guy, and just the whole story. By the way, if you'd like to kind of catch up on a little things, you can go to the Post Crescent online, the Post Crescent, and you can type in Michael Funk / Post Crescent. All the articles will come up, and you can also listen to some past broadcasts on forthepeopleshow.com. You might have wondered what that tab is on our page. That's what it's all about. We've dedicated a section for a radio broadcast that we have, because we've gone up several times to Neenah, Wisconsin, to have live broadcast up there in front of a live studio audience, which I always prefer, actually. I almost felt like Geraldo, when he did his shows and stuff like that. It was very cool. Had the nicest reception that anybody could ever get. It's a smaller town in Wisconsin, but what I like about the people there, especially, they're real. Just genuine, man. That's a rarity, man. When you find gems like that, I told Kay, man, you find me a nice house up there. Yeah, I would have to find a radio gig up there, a flagship radio station that would want to carry For the People. But if they did that, I am serious. I would move out of Florida in a heartbeat, especially because of all these hurricanes. You don't hear hurricanes hitting Wisconsin, do you? They get some thunderstorms and they get some tornadoes and things like that. By the way, many of you know we've been making this announcement the last several days, but we're in the middle of what we call Share-a-thon. And our goal, $5,000. We have a budget because we're listener supported. So we're trying to figure out what people want the most during the Share-a-thon. And what I have figured it out, if we're asking for $5,000, we should have some kind of raffle, don't you think? But what would we raffle off? There's a lot of things. What, coffee cup? That's not much incentive. But how about cash money? Cash. How about $200 worth of cash? I mean, and everybody likes cash, and $200. Hey, what could you do with an extra $200? All right, so what you need to do if you'd like to have a raffle ticket is to go to forthepeopleshow.com right now on your mobile device or on your desktop or wherever and buy your ticket for $25. And then we'll raffle it off about a week or so, and we'll also put the winner on the air. Now, if you're embarrassed, you're shy, You don't want to do that, then we won't put you on the air. We can